In the sweeping panorama of the 20th century, few moments resonate with such universal significance as the launch of Vostok 1 on the 12th of April, 1961. On board was a 27-year-old Soviet Air Force pilot, Yuri Alexeyevich Gagarin, who became the first human being to orbit the Earth. The event was not only a monumental scientific and technological triumph, but also a deeply symbolic victory in the ideological Cold War battle between East and West. Gagarin's life, from his humble roots to becoming the most recognized face on the planet, and ultimately his untimely death, tells a story of ambition, courage, charisma and loss, a story that continues to inspire to this day. Born on the 9th of March 1934 in the small village of Klushino in Smolensk Oblast, Yuri Gagarin grew up in a time of extreme hardship. His parents, Alexei Ivanovich Gagarin and Anna Timofeyevna, were simple peasants. His father worked as a carpenter and bricklayer, and his mother was a dairy farmer. The Gagarins lived a modest rural life, and young Yuri was the third of 4 children. The outbreak of World War II cast a long shadow over Gagarin's childhood. In 1941, Nazi forces occupied Klushino. The Gagarin home was taken over by a German officer, forcing the family to live in a small dugout behind their house. Yuri and his siblings endured forced labor and witnessed acts of brutality that left psychological scars. His 2 elder siblings were deported to Nazi Germany as forced laborers and returned only after the war ended. The trauma and resilience born during these years forged in Gagarin a powerful sense of duty, patriotism, and mental fortitude. After the war, the family relocated to the town of Jatsk, renamed Gagarin after his death. Yuri was a bright and energetic student, excelling in mathematics and physics. He showed a strong interest in aviation, which led him to technical school in Lyubetsy and eventually to the Saratov Industrial Technical School, where he joined a local aero club. There he made his first flight in a Yak-18 trainer and developed an insatiable passion for flying. In 1955, Gagarin enrolled in the Orenburg Pilot School, graduating in 1957, the same year the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, humanity's first artificial satellite. He soon became a military pilot, flying MiG-15 jet fighters stationed at a base near Murmansk within the Arctic Circle. The Soviet space program, then in its infancy, began quietly selecting candidates for human spaceflight in 1959. A secretive and highly selective process was launched by the newly formed Cosmonaut Training Center, under the direction of Sergei Korolev, the mastermind of the Soviet space program. Out of more than 200 pilots, 20 men were chosen for final evaluation, and among them, Gagarin emerged as one of the top candidates. His psychological stability, adaptability to stress, physical fitness, and, crucially, his humble peasant origins and ideological loyalty made him ideal in the eyes of Soviet authorities. Gagarin's height, 1.57 meters or 5 feet 2 inches, also made him a good fit for the cramped Vostok spacecraft. In March 1960, Gagarin officially became part of the first group of Soviet cosmonauts. As the Cold War intensified, space exploration became a domain of political prestige. Following the Soviet Union's surprise launch of Sputnik 1 in 1957 and Luna 2, which impacted the Moon in 1959, the Americans were desperate to catch up. But in secret, the Soviets were planning their most ambitious feat yet, placing a man into orbit and returning him safely to Earth. The Vostok spacecraft was designed as a one-man capsule, little more than a sphere bolted to a service module. It had no manual controls for re-entry. The cosmonaut was essentially a passenger. Gagarin and fellow pilot German Titov were the top 2 candidates for the flight. Ultimately, Gagarin's composure, excellent test results, and public image, his background and charisma, earned him the mission. On the 12th of April, 1961, at 9:07 Moscow time, Vostok 1 launched from Baikonur Cosmodrome, with the now legendary word Poyakali, or let's go. Gagarin soared into history. The mission lasted just 108 minutes, during which Vostok 1 completed one orbit of the Earth. The spacecraft reached a maximum altitude of 327 kilometers and a speed of 27,400 kilometers per hour, which is over 17,000 miles per hour. Gagarin maintained constant radio contact with ground control and reported his sensations and the spacecraft's status. Despite minimal manual control, Gagarin was fully trained to intervene if necessary. The mission proceeded smoothly, although the re-entry phase was tense. Due to a delay in jettisoning the service module, the capsule spun wildly for several seconds before stabilizing. At approximately 7 kilometers altitude, Gagarin ejected from the capsule and parachuted to the ground as planned, though this fact was initially concealed by Soviet authorities to comply with international spaceflight rules requiring landing with the spacecraft. He landed near the Saratov region, where a woman and her daughter saw the figure in an orange suit and white helmet descending from the sky. "Don't be afraid," he said with a grin. "I am a Soviet like you who has come down from space." Gagarin's return ignited celebrations across the USSR. He was immediately declared a hero of the Soviet Union, awarded the Order of Lenin and promoted to Major. More importantly, he became the poster boy for Soviet achievement and a symbol of the potential of socialism. Soon after the flight, he embarked on a global tour, visiting over 30 countries, including the United Kingdom, France, India, Cuba, and Japan. He met with heads of state, including Queen Elizabeth II, Fidel Castro, and Jawaharlal Nehru, and was met with cheering crowds wherever he went. Despite being the first man in space, Gagarin retained a down-to-earth demeanor. His humility and warmth won him fans in the West, even in countries ideologically opposed to the Soviet Union. After his historic flight, Soviet authorities restricted Gagarin from further space missions, concerned about losing their national icon in a training accident. Instead, he took on administrative roles within the space program and pursued further education, graduating with honors from the Zhukovsky Air Force Engineering Academy in 1968. Though honored, Gagarin remained frustrated by his grounding and lobbied persistently to return to active flight duty. He served as a backup for the ill-fated Soyuz 1 mission, which tragically claimed the life of his friend Vladimir Komarov in 1967. Gagarin's detailed report on the mission's engineering flaws reflected his commitment to safety and technical rigor. On the 27th of March 1968, Gagarin died in a MiG-15 crash during a routine training flight near Kirshach. His co-pilot, Vladimir Seryogin, was also killed. The exact cause of the crash remains a subject of debate. Official Soviet reports cited a bird strike or turbulence caused by another aircraft, but theories abound, including pilot error, mechanical failure, and even cover-ups. His funeral was a national event. His ashes were interred in the Kremlin Wall necropolis, the highest honor in the USSR. Millions mourned the passing of a man whose life embodied the promise of a new era. Today, Yuri Gagarin's name adorns cosmonaut training centers, universities, cities, and monuments. His flight is commemorated annually on Cosmonautics Day in Russia and internationally as the International Day of Human Spaceflight. Statues of Gagarin can be found around the world, from London to Houston, symbolizing humanity's first steps into the stars. His iconic smile, warm, sincere, unforgettable, remains etched in collective memory as the face of the space age. In an age where space tourism is becoming a reality, Gagarin's daring leap remains an unmatched feat. He was not merely the first human in space, he was the first to leave our planet and return with stories of what it means to look down upon Earth from the black velvet sea of space. Yuri Gagarin's story is the triumph of the human spirit over the confines of gravity, fear, and political barriers. A farm boy who rose to become a global icon, his flight was a victory for science, courage, and imagination. His life reminds us that in the quiet heart of ordinary people often lies the spark to do the extraordinary. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Blistering History.